Hello and welcome to the Week 4 edition of the EstablishTheRun.com NFL betting show. My name is Adam Levitan, as always, joined by Evan Silva. And today we are back again to have some good old-fashioned fun. As you guys know, we are not sports bettors. We have been all in on fantasy for the last 15 years or so. That is what we do. That is what we play. That is where we win. That said, betting sides and totals is undoubtedly fun. And quite frankly, there's just been such an overwhelming amount of requests from the fans. Shout out to the fans for this. And of course, we aim to please. I do want to be very clear that if I'm betting any of this stuff at all, I honestly just do it for fun. And if I do make bets, it's really on sides and totals. It's really just to throw the books off the scent as we just ravage them in props. In other words, maybe our accounts don't get shut down if we give them some action on sides and totals. Evan, good afternoon. How's it going? Oh, looks like we lost Evan. We'll get him pop back in here in a second. Technical difficulties. Evan, are you back?
Yeah, I don't know, there's something weird going on with my internet. I'm good, though. We're ready to roll.
Okay. Before we get into today's show, a couple of things. First, if you're into betting, I'm sure you are into props. You should be. And that is a market we know we can beat. We've been doing it for years and are putting a big emphasis on it this year. If you want to do it right, you need to be in our subscriber-only Discord. As soon as I take a prop, we send the alert in there. We're 28-12 on the season through 3 weeks. Shout out to us. Already taken 11 things for this week. All those lines are obviously gone because we are moving the markets very quickly. But if you're in the Discord, you will get the alert as soon as we bet. Second, this program is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks.com. Want to stress that if you are in a state like New York or California or Texas and you don't have access to a legal book where you can bet these props, you can play the prop market on PrizePicks. It is legal. It is regulated. If you sign up using promo code ETR, they'll give you 100% bonus up to $100 immediately. No playthrough or anything like that. We also have a PrizePicks channel in our Discord and a table up for subscribers that shows our projections versus the PrizePicks lines. Later in today's show, I'm going to give some things that I think are still good up on PrizePicks right now. Again, promo code ETR at PrizePicks.com. Link in the description below. Get that deposit bonus. Okay. Evan, let's get into it here with week 4. We will once again do a 3-round draft of plays. I will give you the honors. First pick of the draft.
All right, we're going to start with Seahawks +3 at San Francisco. Russell Wilson playing lights out. DK Metcalf mostly healthy. Tyler Lockett got banged up in the second half of last week. It was a scare. Had to go to the sideline, twisted his knee a little bit, got back in the game, and Pete Carroll says he's good to go. He's been practicing. I'm a little worried about Seattle defense. I mean, has not played well so far, but, they're facing Jimmy Garoppolo, who has been up and down at best during his time as the 49ers starting quarterback. And, this is one of these games where, like, the Seahawks need this bad. I mean, they're in last place in the NFC West. And, I like them outright, but getting the 3, I like them to take care of business here at San Francisco.
Yeah, and we've seen really up and down play from Jimmy Garoppolo. We talked about on Tuesday how Jimmy played a really, really bad first half, and Evan thought that they might go to Trey Lance in the second half. I kind of thought the same thing. They stick with Jimmy G, and it turns out that Jimmy G plays a hell of a second half, and really wasn't his fault that they lost this game. Pulled up the odds screen here, +3, -115 is on DraftKings. I would shop and try to get something a little bit better if you can find it, although it doesn't look like there's much better. That does look like the best line right now, +3, -115 on the Seahawks. But obviously a huge, huge difference between +3 and +2.5. We can quantify the value of that mathematically, and I don't have the number in front of me, but it's just absolutely massive. For my first pick, I am going to go with the New York Giants +7.5 at New Orleans. Let me just make sure that's the best line here. Yeah, +7.5 -110 is going to be the best line that you can get. So obviously getting over the 7 is huge here. I understand that Sterling Shepard is banged up. I understand that Darius Slayton is banged up. They still have Galladay. They still have Kadarius Toney. They still have Barkley. They got Evan Ingram back last week. And like the way the Saints are winning is not conducive to blowing out teams. And I know they blew out the Packers in week one, but the way they're playing like 1950s football. I mean, they're playing in a way that it's really hard to blow teams out when Jameis Winston's passing prop projection is around like 199 yards. I mean, they're like throwing the ball 19, 20, 22 times a game on purpose. And so, I'm kind of in the camp that the Giants can play much better than they have and overcome the coaching. I know that was a really brutal home loss against the Falcons last week, but 7.5 points in what I expect to be a really low scoring game is a ton. So I'll go with the Giants, the G-Men, plus 7.5.
I'm going to go Vikings Browns over 51.5. Now, Daigle was talking about this earlier in the week, and he was talking about it when it was at 52 or 52.5. And then I put in one of our threads, we got to take the Browns Vikings at 51.5. And then Daigle said that I stole his play when he was taking it at a bad number. All right.
There's a 51 minus 115 out there. So
nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. But both of these offenses are humming. I really like what Clint Kubiak has done early on as the Vikings' new OC. Didn't really know what to expect from him, just kind of expected a carryover from Gary Kubiak. They've been very aggressive on offense. Kirk Cousins playing the best football of his career. Justin Jefferson just lives staying open. Adam Thielen, stud in the red area. Like what we've seen from Tyler Conklin. I mean, they've got a legit, really good top to bottom pass catcher core. When you add in KJ Osborne, who made some plays in weeks 1 and 2, they've protected well so far that we thought that could be a concern because they were losing guys like Christian Darrisaw still hasn't even played for them. I mean, I am worried a little bit about Myles Garrett going up against Rashad Hill. Rashad Hill has been the weak link of the Vikings offensive line, but they know that. They've survived through that, through the first 3 games, and they've been able to put up a lot of points. You can definitely throw on the Cleveland back end. And then on the other side, I mean, the Browns just do everything right. They're so analytically sound, good offensive line play. They can run, they can, they pass at a really efficient clip. Odell Beckham just came back in his first game, looked really good. Wasn't even in full football shape. He should be even better this week. Their diversity in terms of their personnel packages is they can run 2 tight end sets, 3 tight end sets, 3 receiver sets. I mean, they can beat you in a variety of different ways. And I think both these teams are just playing really good offense right now.
Yeah, I read Thorman's article, and he's worried about this game a little bit. I think you can win on efficiency, though. Like the way this game goes over is with really good efficiency from the Browns and the Vikings. I think they can do it. As Thorman notes here, I mean, both these teams kind of want to play slow and neutral situations. But yeah, I mean, I think 2 really, really good offenses. And again, condensed offense on the Viking side is what I love so much. I love playing Cousins doubles and stuff like that. I think it makes so much sense.
Yeah. All right. 28-24 gets us there. So that's what I'm hoping for. Okay.
I'm going to go Green Bay minus 6.5 over the Steelers. I've tried to be early on the Big Ben is done train and get in front of that. And I think that we've had some success doing that in fantasy to some degree and on streaming defenses against him. Like we've had a lot of success streaming defenses against Ben over the last couple of years, offensive line play and also the way that Ben just stands in the pocket. I mean, he's such a statue back there. And so I think that there's getting national buzz that the Steelers and Big Ben are like cooked now. So I'm a little worried this line is a bit inflated at 6.5, but to get it below 7, I am excited about that and just betting against the Steelers and trying to be ahead of the curve on Big Ben being absolutely donezo. I think that week 1 game the Packers played was just a total fluke, and they'll be ready here for the Steelers. You can get 6.5. Best line looks like 6.5 minus 110 on PointsBet is the best line. 6.5 minus 115 on DK Sportsbook. Evan, final pick.
Yeah, I was looking at that one. I was also looking at the Packers team total over 26.5. over the last 2 games, the Steelers defense just got shredded by Derek Carr and Joe Burrow. Derek Carr over 10 yards per attempt in week 2. Joe Burrow 9.6 yards per attempt in week 3. The Steelers are probably going to get some guys back. They were really, really short on defense last week, but Stephon Tuitt and Tyson Alualu, 2 of their best, 2 of their 3 starting defensive linemen, those guys are on IR. They're not coming back. TJ Watt might come back, but he's been battling this groin injury off and on. But I was also looking at Tom Brady over 2.5 passing touchdowns at New England. Tom Brady is saying, "Oh, this is just any other game."
Narrative street.
Yeah, absolute narrative street. And also just getting Antonio Brown back. I'm a little bit worried about Gronkowski, though. He's not practiced so far. So I'm going to go with the over on the Packers team total 26.5. But I don't know, that Tom Brady over 2.5 passing touchdowns is tempting. Every single week, and it's at plus 120 on DK. So you're getting plus money on it. Every single week, I think that's on the table. He's going to throw a lot of TDs this year.
Okay. Yeah. There's so many narrative streets with the New England, with the Bucks, and, I'm not one to typically buy in them, but if you were going to buy into one this week, it would certainly be it. I'm going to go with a prop for my last one, and I'll actually go with one in the game tonight. James Robinson under 3.5 catches, minus 114 on FanDuel. We have done a ton of research on props and typically what is good and what isn't. Receiving unders on running backs is just, it's so good. We have James Robinson for 3.2 catches tonight. I think you're relying on Urban Meyer doing like rational things when you're betting James Robinson over as you're playing James Robinson in fantasy. And I just don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be up and down with James Robinson. His usage was great in week 2. I'm not convinced it stays that way tonight. One other prop that I wanted to mention was Chase Edmonds under 4.5 catches. It's minus 130 on DraftKings and Caesars. Right now we have 3.9. Chase Edmonds' catch rate has just been absolutely through the roof, and I think that's inflating his prop here. I think he has caught like every target he's seen except for one this season. I like Chase Edmonds under 4.5. Also, I want to bring up the PrizePicks screen. Give me a second here just to share our PrizePicks stuff. So if you go on PrizePicks, you basically have to do a parlay. So you need more than one. You go up here to projections, PrizePicks props versus ETR projections. Obviously, I'm looking for unders, and I'm looking specifically for rushing unders a lot of the time. But here you'll see our projections against the PrizePicks lines. And so I think there's still some good stuff out there. Miles Sanders under 58.5 rushing yards. I actually bet this on, I think it was DraftKings or Caesars or something like that earlier this week. When they get down, they're going to Kenny Gainwell like right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're playing the Chiefs here, and I have a lot of worry that the Chiefs are going to come here and play really well in Philly as they're 1-2, and they really need this game. Miles Sanders under, I think, 58.5 makes sense here. You can see that our mean projection is 54.6. Our median projection is much, much lower than that. And then, of course, on PrizePicks, you have to do more than one pick. I bet this one last week, and it hit. And then this week, they reposted it at 1 yard lower. Kirk Cousins under 7.5 rushing yards. Last week, I had Kirk Cousins under 8.5. Basically, like Kirk Cousins, a lot of games just doesn't have any attempts. And when he does have attempts, the chances that it goes over 7 yards, I think, is relatively slim. So you can see here, Kirk Cousins, we have 5.4 as his mean. His median is going to be a lot lower because he has so many zeros in that range. So when you're betting props, I would really encourage people to think about median versus mean with all these numbers. All right, Evan. This was fun. I know people love fun. Porter took the G-Men in his pick'em pool. QB play has been way better for the Giants and the Saints. Yeah, they just haven't asked Jameis to do a lot, but it's hard to argue.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan says, "Hey, Adam, you're the man." Appreciate you, Jonathan. Wallace says, Trey Lance after their bye week, please. What do you think the chances of that are, Evan? Any chance Trey Lance?
Shoot, what's their bye?
It's in like 3 weeks, I think.
Okay. You're gonna have to get like some losses, I think. And we booked a loss last week. Hopefully the Seahawks come through for us here on the money line. And then, San Francisco books another loss, and then they'll start thinking about changing stuff. Their secondary situation is really rough. I mean, they can absolutely be exploited on the back end. And, if they get to the point where they're starting to lose games, they're giving up a lot of points, they're going to have to, feel like they need to inject the offense with a guy who's like a legitimate playmaker as opposed to, a pocket passer who loves throwing into crowds. That can maybe spur them to make the shift.
Yeah. So it's Seattle this week for the 49ers, then at Arizona, and then the bye. So maybe they go in with a 2-game skate into the bye. Maybe we see Trey Lance when they come out of it. Last question we're going to take from Porter. He says, did the Bible narrative save Tyler Lockett from a serious knee injury? The Hawks did form a solid prayer circle around him. Yes, they read him Exodus 3.2, and now Tyler Lockett is miraculously healed. Yes, good point.
Lockett is big on the Bible narrative, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Big time. All right. That's going to do it for this week 4 betting show. Appreciate all you guys hanging in, hanging out. We'll be back later today with 2 shows, actually. First, I'll be with Dink on YouTube to go over the Discord Member of the Month tournament lineup and talk about some strategies and things we think he did right, things we think he did wrong there in week 3 DFS tournaments. And then showdown tonight between Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. I'll be with Cody and Dink at 6:15 p.m. Eastern to talk about tonight's showdown slate. Francis is predicting Fat Ramondre Stevenson over 150 yards and 3 touchdowns.
So mean that you guys are fat shaming this poor guy.
I know. I didn't do that. Sean Newsham during preseason called him Fat Mondre. I would never call him Fat.
He calls everybody fat.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He called Devin Singletary, Devin Tubble Terry or something like that. Okay. All right. For Evan, for producer Adam, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.